feel obligated to make a video really quick because I've been studying the literature of Mark Twain and it makes me really nervous. It's about slavery for all races and nations, and it's really quite spooky because the last bit I learned that crashed that computer over there was that Dick Eastman, that's registered in Hemel Hempstead like Born Leisure, is part of the plot, and he was a good guy on the side of the Native American Indians. That's Kodak Eastman. My camera that is making this video is still a Kodak. Okay, it's quite spooky and quite scary, and Mrs. Thatcher comes into it and she's the victim of a gangbang rape by the American Indians. Oh no, sorry, it's Becky Thatcher. Right then. And also the Mills family that I believe are married into now, that's the Millses that were married into the Beatles. Yeah, through the McCartney linkage. Okay, and that takes us back to the Chinook incident and all of the things about Hanukkah, and it's really twisted. And the man Eastman is a defender of the faith, and what he does is acknowledges that the American Indians are very prudent people and they can live in that vast continent that is America for thousands of years without despoiling and asset stripping everything that God gave them. Yeah, and the links to the Cooperian Indians, yeah, that's the wee Coopers of Fife that we have here, and they are part of the emancipation team that actually culled the Indians in the end. But there's a Cooperian philosopher like Jim Hume's relatives in the Tweed Valley that launched World War I out of the Hume Bridge. It's ever so scary when you find out what crashes the computer and how simple things have been up to now. Yeah, the stories of Twain have now become the jokes about religion. Yeah, the T-Wayne jokes. Everything in the stories is a sinister belly laugh at everything that could be innocent and prosperous. Like the American Indians kept their vast tracts of land fully inhabited by all of the wild species before the white man and his whiteboard came along. That's the paint in the fence at the beginning of the Tom Sawyer story, the whiteboards joke that Bill Clinton now shares with the whole of the ecologically threatened world because of the white man's greed and capacity to kill the innocents everywhere. In the Sawyer story, that is turned on its head, which is why initially Hollywood and the Warner Brothers have to make a silent movie. Okay, I'll leave it playing in the background, and I'm going to take you into several facets because I'm bored to tears discovering these shocking facts about how the elites steal from the world and get rid of all of the innocents. But this may not get me a copyright infringement because it's a fucking silent movie for conscience reasons. Oh no, it's not. Oh, it is. So it's only got lovely music. I was hoping. Right then, let's make it a genuine silent movie without the romantic background hum, which is why the other computer is now shut down. Just in the process of looking up the Cooperian Indian story, and immediately it becomes evident that all of the Millses' story are linked entirely to the Millers' story and all of the jokes of the Pizzos. Okay, it's complicated, but I want to take you into something much more simple and I'm going to take you next door to do that. That is the Royal Institute of International Affairs. Okay? That is the reason that I really became focused on all of these issues this morning, because what I'm studying is the royal cabal that still owns all of the American nation, all of the Canadian nation, vast tracts of land in Australasia, and that is the Chatham House Group. Now, it may take my computer next door a little bit of time to warm up, so let's go and do that now, and then I'll tell you the horrible story about the Royal Institute of International Affairs and all of its control of the ownership of the whole world. Okay? And what happens in this is that the Indian, who is part of Hollywood fiction and the Twain story, is found in the graveyard, and he murders someone, but they pretend that that is the white man that does the dirty, and they try and prosecute the white man. And Mark Twain's characters come back from beyond the grave, yeah, like Jesus might have done, and they're able to do the right thing and to free the world and to convict the Indians of all of the crimes yeah, that in the real world story, which crashes my computer nearly every day, that the white man is the innocent and a victim of the rapes of the Americans. That's the cowboy hat concept that we talked about yesterday. Okay? And I cannot find the graveyard scene, but it is particularly sad that they are prepared to persecute the Aboriginals and the innocent peoples of the land that were able to keep that land as God planted it through all of their time in power. They're not in power because they respect nature and its rules. Okay? Right then, the Tom Sawyer movies are complicated, and it involves sad stories about school teachers who are actually fascists. But let's move back into the financial domain and the Royal Institute. The RAF are flying nervously by overhead. That's the Raphael joke, which is all over the writings of Mark Twain. And the word raft that they use to flee down the Mississippi when their parents think that they're a goner, yeah, because they're pursuing adventures like Ray Mears would have done. It's all part of the same story. Right then, let's see if we can get this focused on this computer, and let's get it lit up as quickly as we can, because last night when I went to Chatham House, which remember is the Royal Institute, the boss at Chatham House was that woman Julius, who worked on the court of the Bank of England for a whole thickened decade as a CIA member and a member of the world's leading British secret society that is run in the name of the monarchs in all of their greatness and all of their capacity to be genocidal before they change their names to the Windsors. Okay? It's little wonder that my computer crashes. Do not look at my password, please. It's a relatively innocent place were it not for the Freemasonic presence in a place called Selkirk, yeah, where everything happens and everybody gets killed in the wars locally, and they don't understand it. So what they do for centuries after that is they dance in commemoration of the big fascist triumphs. That's the Selkirk common riding, and it's the common people that get killed that dance around in their kilts on the stage as if they had something to celebrate about their dead relatives and their capacity to join the pipe band, and then to do the same thing in Las Vegas with the Las Vegas military tattoo run by the local councillor with the medals, who's the boss at the local council, and the Christian preacher. Right then, let's see if we can get this warming up. I doubt that it will do it very quickly. Yeah, so there's Dame Anne Shirley Julius. She was the boss at Chatham House for a long time. She's trained by the CIA in America. She's got dual citizenship, and we've heard enough about her. Let's see where this takes us. Oh yeah, so that's just the story that we know already. Let's go give you a close-up of that. There's her mugshot. She's crinkly. I think she was born in 1947, and she's slightly out of the public eye now, like everything that happens in Chatham House in London. Chatham House rules are almost the same as the University of Warwick rules. We are the world owners, and you need to shut the fuck up whenever we get involved in an inquest or anybody that might be prepared to take on the biggest law firms in the world, which we totally own, and we run them out of our London base. I still don't know what that other flag is, but it could be the Turkish flag. It looks like a half moon. Right then, that's Turkey, where World War I was started, with the British philosophers writing lyrically about how that accident was allowed to happen. Right then, so let's shut that one down, because we've got Wikipedia Julius CIA, Bank of England, Wikipedia Julius CIA. So that's the woman's name, Julius. It's not very much to do with Julius Caesar and the massive 2,000-year-old religious fraud, but it is intertwined as always. Right then. So this one's kind of shocking, because this is a profile of Chatham House, the Royal Institute for International Affairs. Okay, can you see it? RIIA. It gets people confused with the IRA for obvious obfuscation reasons, and this is in 2013 and 14, when I am rendered unemployable because of my honesty. These are their financial funders. Okay, and this is just a 4-page document, but let me read out the partners that are involved. Akbank, Asfari Group, BG Group, BP PLC, Chevron Limited, Crown Prince Corps Abu Dhabi, Department for International Development UK, European Commission, Exxon Mobil Corporation. You remember I talked about Dean Henderson? He is an expert on the big 4 oil companies. That's Exxon Mobil that spilt some of its product into the Gulf so that they could cover their sins. In the profiteering sector, Finmeccanica, Foreign and Commonwealth Office UK, Jetro London, Mava Foundation, Ministry of Defence UK, Ministry of Foreign Affairs United Arab Emirates, Nippon Foundation. That's a joke about the Japs. Yeah, and yesterday's video about the beautiful singer that has the same name as the only Prime Minister, Lewis Hill, who's been written out of British history, a bit like Michael Moore, since I got interested in his crimes. Oak Foundation, that's the religious joke. In every one of the Church of Scotland events, you will see all of the Monty Python's tree menagerie on display in the religious place, because that is the joke about the Christian cross and the ships that brutalise the world in the name of Christianity. Sailing out of Portsmouth, where Queen Victoria's only legitimate child was raised in Gosport, until they had to have him taken out because of his innocence and legitimacy and the ownership of the corrupted UK throne that runs this organisation. Okay? But let's share the blame. Robert Bosch Foundation, that's the Germanic roots for the Windsors, the Saxe-Coburgs, the Hanoverians, and all of the people that are in the ships bombarding the innocent troops on shore. Royal Dutch Shell, Statoil, Toshiba Corporation, Total Holdings UK Limited. Okay, that's just the start. This is only a 4-page document. It explains world ownership, key project sponsors now. Okay. Atkin Foundation, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. I know someone who was the British Bank of America boss in London's PA. She's charming. And she's a freedom fighter. But she's been forced out of the ownership of her own home, the Catholic Organisation for Relief and Development Aid, Charities Aid Foundation, Climate and Development Knowledge Network, the Green Scam, Climate and Land Use Alliance, Commonwealth Secretariat. That's the Commonwealth Secretariat that got the heads of the Commonwealth to change the laws of succession in 2012, the year before this document was openly published as a laugh at the persecution of the world's people. BHP Billiton International Services Limited, that's what the Queen's on, with all the other companies that come in later on. Gordon Bowden, the man who's got access now to the BBC, told me that. Yeah, and that's quite stunning, because all Gordon Bowden tells me about is the repeated stories about minor people in MI6 that are launderers, and that they get their passports to cover up the crimes and war crimes of the transatlantic establishment. British Red Cross. I don't want to go there because it got me convicted the last time I wanted to talk about that. Right then, that's a criminal conviction. I was not allowed to plead not guilty, but I'm not selfish. Let's keep on world affairs. Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Australia, Disasters Emergency Committee. Yeah, that is the shock doctrine book by Naomi Klein. The Socialist, in inverted commas, Economic and Social Research Council UK, Embassy of the United States of America, London. That's where Francis D. Cook worked. Epoch Foundation, Iranda Foundation, European Parliament. Yeah, it's a stitch up, and all of the innocents are in the body bags in the stitch up case. Federal Department of Foreign Affairs, Switzerland, strictly neutral like the Red Cross UK. Federal Environment Agency, Germany, John and Catherine T. MacArthur, just happens to be a tank commander for all of World War II in the South Pacific. Once Pearl Harbor has gotten America tied in, and the Japs are the victims because they get the bomb and they were lured into Pearl Harbor, sharing the joke that we shared yesterday. That's the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, Korea Foundation, another gift to our graceless nation for the brutalization of a country that is thousands of miles from Homeland Security. Ministry of Finance, Japan. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Japan. This is the Royal Institute for International Affairs, run from the City of London. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Netherlands. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Norway. Do you see it? All of the fascist countries with emperors and kings. National Intelligence Council, United States of America. That's not Central Intelligence Agency, but we already know how they infiltrate this system using the boss at what is a very open secret society. Nomura Foundation, North Atlantic Treaty Organisation. That's fucking NATO, by the way. If you're intelligent enough to put the acronym together, North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, Headquarters, Open Society Foundation, Prudential PLC. Remember I told you about the assessors from Kelso who went to London to assess the bomb damage, and remember how Greg Hallett revealed that the insurance industry is entirely run by IntEL. That's Prudential PLC. Revenue Watch Institute. Swiss watches strictly accurate until it becomes the historical transcript. Rockefeller Foundation, that's Tom Hanks and his girlfriend with the double mastectomy the same week that we reveal the historic crimes of the British Time Team. Out of Jesus College, Cambridge, Skoll Global Threats Fund, Smith Richardson Foundation. Some of them are relatively innocent. All of you could spend some time looking at what they do and get in touch with me, because they are really quaking now, the whole lot of them. Here's the launch of another British comedy, Stavros Niarchos Foundation, Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. I still cannot win the heart of the woman from Sweden. Every time I meet her, the sun comes pouring out. Her name's Cameron, and it makes me a bit nervous. And she refuses my advances now, since I get really into how the people interlock all across the globe. Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, United Nations Trust Facility supporting cooperation on arms regulation, United States. You remember Ed Balls was on the list of 300 in the 300 the 300 Committee, United States Agency for International Development. I keep droning on about the no need to declare war on innocent countries far from home now. United States Institute for Peace. Right then, this gets into a sector where I've become an expert in, and you will now realise that all of these are massive globalised financial frauds with Ponzi schemes in every corner of our globe. Research supporters. The organisations and individuals below provide support to the activities of Chatham House's research departments in 2013 and 14. Okay, that's Chatham House's capacity to shield the crimes of the world owners. Action Aid UK, African Barrack Gold PLC, AIG Property Casualty, Al Tajir Trust, Alico Limited, Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, Anglo-American PLC, Arab Stabilisation Plan, Arriva, that's the Lavarone place, but that's not the same spelling for Lavarone as the one who works in the interlocks with the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds only get one word mentioned here. Association of Italian Banks, AstraZeneca PLC, yeah, Atlantic Partnerships, Banco African de Investimentos, Bank of England. Research supporters, yeah, that's the Bank of England that should fund everything that happens in our democracy. And thank you to the people that work as administrators in Royal Society affiliations who did not understand the depth of this until I met them in the supermarket last night. They're really decent people, and it is really good to talk to intelligent people that understand the plight that the world is in because of these multiple tiers of deceit, killing and theft. Bechtel Limited, Bovicor, Boland Trust, Brazilian Development Bank. That's Latin America, where no Latin Americans have any control on anything that happens there. British Academy, British Council, PTG Pactual, Centre for Low Carbon Futures, Charles Halley, Chubu Electric Power Co Inc, Client Earth, Clifford Chance LLP, one of the big five magic circle law firms. It's the law, Dad. Yeah, that's how we steal the world from its indigenous peoples, and the American Indian and the Canadian Indian stories are tragic, and all of them get covered up by the posh names that these theft project people use. ConocoPhillips, Daiwa Anglo-Japanese Foundation. Cover for that is the Fishing Tackle Industry, Daiwa Capital Markets Europe Limited, DBAG Europe Limited, Debevoise and Plimpton LLP, Delonex Energy, Department of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Development, Canada, Sieg Heil. That's where Prime Minister Harper carries the can for the profiteers in London. Yeah, Rome and Columbia. Yeah, we've explained that all roads lead to Rome, and the Columbia thing is a joke about the fifth columnists that now own the whole of the world. Department of National Defence, Canada, that's where Harper needs the 60 aircraft. Diageo, that's where they give the jobs to the local Africans. But the executives live in Auckland and they live in Chatham, where the gypsies wandered across the world and made Chatham their capital city. That's only 10 miles from here. Eaton Vance Management, Elkano Royal Institute, Enai Spa, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. That's the Dresden project that makes the brutalised city a World Heritage Site. Yeah, and the British Labour in the Auf Wiedersehen pet help with that project. European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations. My mate Trevor Jones. He's not yet got a knighthood. There you go, Queenie. Get busy. European Forest Institute, Federal Ministry for Foreign Affairs, Austria, Forest Trends. Everything they do has the Jesus Wood joke in it, and the Tim McGraw film in Paris yesterday is not immune. Did you see the Ave Maria joke all the way through it? GlaxoSmithKline, GPW, Hess Corporation. That might be registered in Hamilton, UK, Scotland subsidiary Inc. KAACHING, HG Capital, Horatio Sanchez Caballero. Yeah, that's the Horatio name that was in the cover-up for the Gallipoli massacre the other morning, and it's the cabal name that explains all of this. Humanity United. That could be a subsidiary of Manchester. International Monetary Fund, Irish Aid, Japan Institute of International Affairs, Japan Petroleum Exploration Co. Limited. It does not say virtual products, but take my word for it. JX, an enigmatic one that some of the people with time and who are now jobless might look up on my behalf and get in touch with me. My phone number is 0157 322 9084. If you've got the courage to ring from America, make sure you tell your friends what you're going to do before you do it. Korea International Cooperation Agency, KPMG LLP. Only 3 of the big 4 auditors are on this list. One of them has fallen out with the families. That's the royal families. Kuwait Foundation for the Advancement of Science. That is how to kill with automatic weapons. Lockheed Martin UK, case in point. Lonro PLC. That's where Prince Charles Financial Advisor Chambers, Christopher Chambers, Christ Ofer Chambers is the boss, and his girls' school is right underneath St Giles Cathedral. The joke. Lowy Institute for International Policy, Macquarie Group, also owned by HRH the Queen, and Gordon Bowden has confirmed that with the links to Anglo-American Tobacco and the massive mining companies in Australia. Marathon Oil Corporation, Matthew Harlock, Ministry for Foreign Affairs, Finland. Ministry for Foreign Affairs, Sweden. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Lithuania, where Ed and Dave Miliband and their impoverished socialist dad were allowed to escape from into the Labour movement in the UK, and then when we put the guillotine on the front page of my website, they bugger off
to America, the land of the Freemasons and the people who are prepared to steal from all of the relatively innocent citizens. Ministry of Infrastructure and the Environment, Netherlands. Mitsubishi Corporation, Mitsui and Co Europe, Morgan Stanley, Nedbank. That's a joke about the donkeys again, the Neds in London. Everything gets covered up in popular culture. Noble Energy Inc., Norwegian Peacebuilding Resource Centre, Norwegian Refugee Council. The diasporas take everybody into even the master race's territory now, and everything becomes politically correct, including the legitimisation of these massive financial crimes against the world's economy. The Olion Group, Overseas Development Institute, Pension Insurance Corporation Limited, Petrofac, Raytheon, Rio Tinto, that's also part of the Queen's holdings, whatever her alias is, Robert Bosch again, Limited, Royal Navy. You've heard about the prizes from Truelove and Wilson for sinking other people's ships, even way back when our ships were the hearts of Oak Joke and Francis Drake wore the cami knickers. RWE AG, Singapore National University, Standard Bank plc, Standard Chartered Bank, Storham Harbour Securities Limited LLP, Sustainable European Research Institute. The funders have no money for research, and the woman from the Royal Society, I will not tell you what sector she works in, confirmed that everybody everywhere is busted for cash. Traffic International, Trans-European Policy Studies Association, Tullow Oil plc, UNESCO. Yeah, that's the peace-loving countries who get slightly exiled by the United Nations, and then they're able to make a fuss about their countries being brutalised, but the leaders of their countries are quislings to those countries, so nothing ever changes, and it's covered by the global free press and Rupert Murdoch. Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore, fuck knows where that is, but the Pope's in charge. US Department of Defence, White Rose Energy Ventures, looks like the York Freemasons again. William Rice, that's not Condoleezza or the other one, or my mate Andrew, who had the heart attack after he deserted my innocent cause when he got me invited to speak in front of the intensive care experts. Yeah, that's out of University College London, where Manning and Buller is now the boss, and we've had a whole spate of pharma profiteers and geopolitical treasury men running that institution. It's still the imperialist dream. Corporate members, it gets worse. Yeah, and none of this crashed my computer last night, because this one is permanently connected to the internet through the connections to BT, who are on the list further down. Accenture, major corporate members. AIG Asset Management, that's AIG that is on the all black jerseys, so they're being laughed at in the Hanukkah yeah, Haka joke. They're being laughed at with the stealing of other assets, and their leaders in the all black team are just like the leaders at Twickenham. They are traitors to their nation. They pick players to obfuscate political and financial services truths, and it is totally pathetic, which is why the man who was the head of the all black delegation for a decade or so, I forget what his name is, he played on the flank. He died really young, and none of them are surprised by that now, but they're not allowed to talk about it in case it engenders panic, and they have to launch the body doubles like Michael Linas really quickly. Atkins, BAE Systems plc, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, lovely former employees in the London branch. Barclays, BBC, have you heard of BBC? That's Benai Birth Corporation, yeah, run by Klaus Maswich and all of the wartime profiteers for Zion out of Germany. into the CIA before they get into the Bank of England. BHP Billiton International Services Limited, Bloomberg. Yeah, that's a mayor, but not Mayor Rothschild, the one who is guilty of asset stripping, the issuance of money from every country across our globe now. British American Tobacco, that's the Duplessis link. British Army, we've seen the Navy, we've seen the Air Force. British Army, major corporate members. Isn't that ironic that we're perpetually at war? The British Army is part of the Navy Army, and this is the Royal Institute for International Affairs, the RIAA, Chatham House, secret society, strictly for profit. And when you see the RIAA and you look it up on the business register, it becomes the Maria joke. Because if you twist it around a little bit, it becomes the Virgin Maria. Okay, Caxton BT Group Limited. God bless you for not crashing my computer this far into the conversation. And their pension fund, according to the innocent, stupid people that live in my town, is doing okay. But last week I saw the man who used to work in global shipping, and he told me nervously, as the Germans got into the final of the Melrose Sevens, that he did not believe that his pension would be sufficient to keep him. Okay, he's a really determined guy, one of the most determined rugby players I ever played with, and the only thing I ever won was when I was scrum half and he was fly half. Immensely strong, a great intellect, has travelled the world, and I think he begins to understand. Yeah, he's on his second wife now, and he approached me very civilly on the town bridge and was beginning to talk about real things. He's given up the presidency of the local rugby club, and I was never asked to speak to them for reputational reasons and for loyalty to the enslavement of Scotland by the Royals, who run the secret institute. That's BT Group PLC, Caxton Asset Management, City, spelt like the City Bank, City of London, Clifford Chance LLP, yeah, the Big Five law companies, the Magic Circle. CME Group, Control Risks, Department for Business, Innovations and Skills. That's not quite the DTI, but very similar. Dexian Capital, DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. That's laundering and depositing elsewhere. The Economist, yeah, Dame Helen Alexander, the Julius woman from the CIA, all of them are at the take, and they write stories about the economic accidents being accidents. They are massive frauds, unprecedentedly massive frauds, occurring now in peacetime without even the need to declare war to cover your tracks. ENI Spa, this is the biggest law firm of all. Freshfields, Brookhouse and Derringer. John Lamont MSP has previous there. They are massive. They bring in 1.75 million per corporate partner in that organisation to steal from the free world and to asset strip all of its assets and to privatise everything that the innocent countries owned and made for themselves all across Eastern Europe now. There are very few places left unconquered. FTI Consulting Limited. Julia Timoshenko, I'd love to get into a conversation with you, and I hope that you've recovered from your period of persecution in jail, because you're a double agent in the Gazprom project in the brutalised country of Ukraine that never gets a life. GlaxoSmithKline, Goldman Sachs International, Herbert Smith's Freehills LLP, HSBC Holdings PLC. We've heard of them before, haven't we? That's the horrific report by Dean Henderson on world history and how they interlock with these bastards for vast tracts of time. Honkers and Shonkers Bank, David Cameron's dad set that up. Okay, Lord Patton's been disappeared because of his involvement of selling China to the Brits. Huawei Technologies Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. Now Michael Moore's a chartered accountant, but he proclaims that